Okay, hopefully I am live. Let's see here. Looks like I am live. Okay, good. All right, so in this video, I'm gonna go over my full setup. I'm gonna go behind the scenes. I'm gonna break everything down. And so I've got in front of you, starting with my cart that I use. This is a cart that I use on my sets. I've got a couple of my lights with me that I'm gonna show you. These lights here. I'm gonna put everything together for you, so you'll be able to see exactly how it is when I put this together. And I haven't figured out how I can see if you have questions while I'm doing this. So that may not be visible. I may not be able to do that. But I will at least look at all those things at the end. So if for some reason I missed something that you had a question about, I'll be able to do that. Looks like I am able to pull it up now. Let's see here. I'm looking now. Good. Okay. We'll see. Okay, I'll be looking at the live chat here and see if you have any questions as we go along. So I'm going to be going over, again, everything that's in these bags. So I've got 1, 2, 3 bags that are my camera bags. Then I've got 3 tripods, a couple of soft boxes, a couple of sets of lights. And I'm going to go through all these things and break them down for you. So just in case you're thinking about ideas on your next filming, this may give you some ideas. I'd love to hear what's worked for you. Feel free to put those things in the chat, and I'll definitely respond either during or afterwards. But thank you for watching. I know your time is valuable, so I want to make sure it's a good use of your time. So a lot of the filming that I do generally are going to be promotional content. I'm doing this type of content for, let's say, commercials that are going to go either on TV or on social media, typically. They're designed to be quick moving, content that's really interrupting what they're doing. So if someone is swiping through their social media profile, then whatever we hit them with should be pretty engaging. Generally, it has to do with interviews and people, getting them at least to think about whatever product or service that we're selling, whether it's a recruitment opportunity or if it's a product, any of those things. We want to be able to present that in the best way. So just keep that in mind. I'm not talking about how to film your next documentary or your next movie. These are quick moving ads. And so everything I show you is going to be set up with that purpose in mind. Obviously, they can be used for things like documentaries or films and things of that nature. But my main crux of what we do is for promotional recruitment content. I'm just doing a quick little sound check. Oh, good. The sound check is working. So I'm glad the sound is working. It's great. Let me get started. I'm going to get right into this, guys. Okay. So let me start first with the tripod setup, because you're going to need to make sure that you're able to make your equipment stable so it's not moving too much or falling down, that sort of thing. I used to use the big tripods, but what I found is that it really got in the way with traveling. So I actually fly to do some of my gigs, and it's a lot more hassle if you have these really big tripods. So I tried to figure out, what am I going to do to alleviate this problem? Well, through trial and error, I finally came up with my best solution. I love this solution. You don't have to necessarily buy this brand, but I would say invest in carbon fiber tripods. Okay, they're designed to hold quite a bit of weight. I want to say this particular one will hold up to like 30 pounds. Somewhere, I'll have to go back and look at the listing again. I think it's around 30 pounds this will hold, but it's more than enough. On one of them, I did replace the top section. I'm going to show you that here. There, here. I replaced that top section there. I put the Falcam F38. The Falcam F38, that's going to hold my camera a lot snugger. And you'll see why, because one of my cameras is pretty large. It weighs about 12 pounds. So I need to make sure I have plenty of tightness whenever I'm putting it on the tripod. This tripod, I want to say it holds right at 30 pounds. So I have definitely more than enough in terms of capability to hold the weight. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one up. And what I'm going to set up first is my Sony FX9. So for those of you who are familiar with these cameras, Sony FX9 is typically what you would see if you're watching a news broadcast and they're trying to catch folks out out in the field, right, interviewing them like correspondents, they would be more likely to use an FX9 in that situation. Sometimes some of your documentaries, they'll use an FX9. The reason why they like to use it is because it has so many things built in, because a lot of these cinema cameras, you have to have a lot of other support for it, and so it just may not be feasible to have a true cinema camera that's there. So this can produce the same level of production as a cinema camera in terms of the image quality is very good. It's just that it's designed to be on the go, more what you call an ENG camera. So electronic news gathering, I think it's, or entertainment news. I actually don't remember what ENG stands for, but it's basically you're out in the field using the camera, so you need to have everything in the camera. So I'm going to show you that next. Okay, so this is kind of this is the tripod setup here. I got it fully extended here. This is not fully extended though. I can actually go one more to make it go even taller. And I'll show you one other way I can extend it out some more. I think I picked this up for, I think it was less, maybe it was around $100. I think it was around $100 on Amazon. I'll have to put a link under where you can see it. I can loosen this up if I want to, have it go higher. This is as tall as it goes right here, which is more than enough for me. But what's amazing about this particular tripod, it's less than 3 pounds. It's literally 2.7 pounds. I might have added maybe like a 0.1 or 0.2 of this. So all intents and purposes, it's less than 3 pounds. It's super light. I mean, it's feather light. So this is great for flying. I liked it so much when I used it on my gig for flying, I said, you know what? I actually want to use this locally. So now my big tripods, they just sit at home now. I don't use the big tripods anymore. This is perfect. It works great. Let me bring this back down. This is kind of more about the height that I would normally use it. And I'm going to put my first camera on. So this is my Sony FX9. This is Sony FX9 here. I already have the Falcam F38 connection at the bottom, and these are very powerful. These are, in fact, let me get a little closer where you can see it. These are very powerful. See, it snaps right on there. Make sure this is good and tight. You don't want this giving, because your camera would possibly fall if this is loose. All right, so I have that tightened up pretty good. But it's very steady. It's going to hold this thing with no problem. And let me just put this on here. This is for the viewfinder. If I'm using it over the shoulder, I'll put the extra viewfinder on top of this. But this is just kind of more serves as a monitor. It works out really good because it has the touch screen on it. So I can do a touch screen for focusing purposes, to focus on my subject. I'm going to walk everything through this camera here in just a moment. I'm going to start putting some other things on it so you'll see what it looks like when it's fully rigged out. When I'm using the shoulder rig though, this shoulder rig is very useful. So I'm able to put the camera on my shoulder like this and stabilize it this way. And it's very easy to pop on. Because I bought the F38 connection, I have an F38 connection here. I have it right there. So it makes it really easy to pop on and pop off. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So works really great. Now, if I'm doing interviews, things of that nature, where the camera's going to be more stable, or if I'm doing B-roll, where I'm using the fluid head on the tripod, it works really great, and I don't have to use this. If it's going to be on my shoulder, in a lot of cases, I will use the extra viewfinder. I don't know that I have that with me today. Yeah, I don't think I have that with me. Yeah, I did not bring that with me today. But the viewfinder helps when you have it over your shoulder. You can put it over your eye, and it doesn't matter how bright it is outside or what the situation is. I'm able to use that viewfinder. So I'll have to show you that on another another broadcast. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and get this set up. Now, one of the things I like to do on this camera, and this is just a backup thing, I don't have to use this. Right now I'm wearing the Hollyland microphone, and I wish I had this set up where you could, let's see, with these two different cameras, it's kind of hard to navigate this, but this is one of them that I use. This is the Hollyland Max Duo. So Hollyland Max Duo there. And there you can see it there, Hollyland Max Duo. This is a nice setup. This particular one, what I like about this one has the, move this back here. This one has the internal recorder in it. Now the newer models, which I have two of the newer models on here, let me show you. That's that model there. See, there's the top one is the M2. The bottom one is the M2S. Top one M2, bottom M2S. So on this one, they're very compact. I like them both for different reasons. The M2S is the more recent one. The feature it has is that it actually is connected, whereas the M2, it's a magnet. It's a button and a magnet style. And so what ends up happening, sometimes you can lose the magnet. Fortunately, I have not lost the magnet on this particular one, but it can happen. So that's one of the things I like about the magnets, is that they do get lost. This one has the clip or the magnet, so you can go either way on this one. It is bigger. As you can see, it's bigger. So that's not necessarily a plus, whereas this one here is super small, size of a button, both of them. But I'm gonna put this one on here. Oh, another thing I like is the readout on this. See the readout on that? I can control a lot more from this than I can from the other smaller ones. So the benefit of the other smaller ones, obviously, is you do have the flexibility of it being smaller, but what I like about this one is that this has much more control. Okay, so I'm going to set that up there. And so this particular mic would go on my subject. I have two of these, and two of these are able to be linked into this particular one receiver unit. So these are the transmitters, this is the receiver. One of the things that I got online to connect this particular model to my camera, put this up where you can see a little closer. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. So this one here, this adapter here, it's adapter between the, move this over. This adapter, it's got the XLR on one side, and it has the 3.5 millimeter on the other side. So if you're looking this up, this is a 3.5 millimeter, and this is going to be, I believe, the male. This is the male XLR. So make sure you have that right with your camera, because it's got to fit here on the Sony FX9. So this particular unit here, even the ones I'm using now, these two here, plus this one, I have three different styles. They all can work with this same 3.5 millimeter connection. So I got one side that's coming out of here, and then I just take this and loop this through, and then I connect it here. Now, with the Sony FX9, you have the Phantom mic and the regular mic. So the Phantom mics, this has the capability of powering the Phantom mics. You actually don't even need a battery if you have a microphone that needs that type of connection. You just turn the mic on. Now this type of microphone does not need the Phantom. It's almost works like a line. So I just put it in the microphone section. The one I'm going to hook in the first section here is a Phantom microphone. It's a Sennheiser, which I'm going to show you next. So I do need that turned on. So I will have the switch turned on for that. So make sure you do that and know what type of microphone that you have. Okay. So let's over some more. This is my Sennheiser MKE600. I love this microphone. A lot of times when you're watching a lot of films, some of them may be using this. Some may be using the MKE416, which is another higher dollar one. This one you can buy for probably about $300. The 416 is probably more like $1,500. So it's quite a bit more. I honestly cannot tell the difference in the sound. I'm sure somebody can, I can't. But this is definitely a great microphone. It's a shotgun microphone, so it definitely can point that sound to wherever you have it pointed to, and you're gonna collect more of that sound than anything else, and it tends to drown out everything else. So you don't hear a lot of the side action. So that is a very much a positive, especially if you're recording dialogue, and also if you're trying to center in on a certain sound, if you're out in the field trying to do sound, this is very good at centering in on that. So this has the XLR connection on it. So I do have an XLR connection here. It's a 1-foot cable that I bought on Amazon, and that's going to connect straight into here. If you have a Sony FX9, one of the things that I had to do with this particular microphone holder is designed for the Sony one. The Sony one, it's a fatter microphone. It's thicker, so it won't fit straight in here. It'll be too loose. So you're gonna have to buy some kind of inset. So I bought these little insets here that you can pick up on Amazon, and it's just a little rubbery thing here, and that fits right in there. So it goes right over the Sennheiser. I can have this turned off. I do have a battery in here, but I don't even need the battery. I'm just going to pop this right in. Okay, it secures there. You see it's kind of pointing a little too high. I'm just going to adjust that down a little bit like that. Now, if I'm going to be filming outside, I bought this for about 40 bucks. It's a kind of a, it's called a dead cat. I think it's a dead cat filter on it. I don't know why. I guess it does feel like kind of like a cat in terms of but this helps to drown out the wind. So at any rate, if I'm going to be outside, I'm going to put this on the end. I think it was about 40 bucks. There we go. And then I'll plug this in here. Now with the Sony FX9, one of the things I like is that I could actually record through the internal mic, the shotgun mic, as well as my wireless mic, all at the same time within the camera. And that's going to be the difference in this and maybe some of the cinema cameras you see. You may not have that level of flexibility. This one does have that because it realizes that the professional that's out in the field will need a number of different ways of interacting with sound around the camera. There's certain times I'm going to want to have room sound, certain times I'm going to want to have the shotgun sound, and there's other times I'm going to use the wireless. I would say probably 90% of the time I'm going to use whatever is coming off the wireless, and I won't even touch these other tracks. But it does help to have those tracks available on the unit, okay? All right, very good. So we got it partially set up. We'll still need to add a few things. Obviously, we don't have a battery yet. So as far as battery options, these are my favorites so far. Very cost effective. Obviously, you can buy the original Sony batteries, but I bought this one here. This is one of my favorite ones because it really lasts a long time. This is the KSTAR or KSTAR, however you want to say that, KSTAR. This is equivalent to the BPU-90. So it looks like this. Okay, so that's a KSTAR. There we go. So it's KSTAR BPU-90. It's just a longer battery. Then I also have the KSTAR BPU-60 equivalent. That's this one. Okay. This one here lasts a good while, but obviously it's not going to last as long as the other one because look at the difference between the two. See that? It's quite a bit of difference. So you get more of a length of time. This is important when you're recording because you don't want to have to stop and change your batteries very often. And so going forward, I'm just going to buy more of these. I'm not even going to bother with these smaller ones. I did also buy this because this helps to fast charge. This is the KSTAR dual smart battery charger. This one here. I actually have two of these, so it works out really good. Okay. Now, so we got the batteries going. The battery's hooked up. You also want to make sure you have some kind of headphone going on. So I like the ones that cover my ears. This fits right in here, in this connector here. Okay, very good. So we got that hooked up, that's ready. As I mentioned before, I would normally put the viewfinder here if I'm going to do over the shoulder, but in this kind of setting, I don't typically use that. It's much easier for me to use it without that. So I'm just going to hang this here for now. Now we need to put the lens on there. So one of my favorite lenses, I used to have the Sony lens. It was an F4, I think it was a 28 to 105 or 24 to 105. And it was okay. There was nothing wrong with it. I would like this way better. This is a Tamron 28 to 200. Tamron 28 to 200. This is a very good lens. This starts out at 2.8. It goes as high as 5.6 at 200. Now it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky to put on a lens on the FX9 if you're not used to it. So I'm gonna take my time and show you how to do this properly. Let me make sure this is on here tight too. Make sure this is on really tight so you don't have any kind of wiggle room on this. Okay, it is on tight. Okay, good. All right, so let me bring this around. And I'm gonna show you exactly how you're gonna put a lens on here. Okay, one of the first things that you need to do, by the way, let me make sure I turn off this microphone. There's no need to have the microphone on this. Turn that off. Turn this one off too. Pardon the interruption. Okay. All right, so here's how we do it. So first of all, you're gonna have to take off the cover here. There's a release button here, and you just turn this, okay? You turn this way, and you're gonna turn it where this white dot meets the other white dot. So now I can pull that off, like that. Now I'm looking for the white notch that's on the Tamron lens here. See that? Okay. So now when I put it in there, now I'm not turning the lens. Because on most E-mount cameras, you're turning the lens. But in this case, I'm turning these connectors around it. Let me pull that back one more time where you can see it. And make sure you got two hands on this. Otherwise, your lens will fall. So see this connector here? This moves. So I click the release button. I line up these three. Make sure this is lined up. That dot, and then this notch. I fit it in here. If I let go, this lens will fall. So I have to hold this. And then when I hold this, I'm pressing this side part, the circle around it, I'm tightening it this way. Good and tight. Now this lens is not going anywhere, okay? It's basically part of the camera. This is even more secure than your regular E-mount lens would normally be. So this is super secure on my camera. So now we've got it built up pretty good. We got the battery going. We got the mics hooked up. And of course, you got to make sure you got media. Now I want to talk about media for a second. When you're doing media, you want to make sure that you got the right media. I've already done the part of having the wrong media. So I want you to avoid doing that. I tried to make, because it fits the slot, which is a compact flash B, I believe it is. It'll fit in here. So it will fit in the camera. So it's deceiving, but it will not recognize it. It won't work. So don't waste any money buying the compact flash CFexpress B. Don't even worry about buying that. They won't work. I've already tried, I think I tried like 4 or 5 different brands and none of them work. So just go ahead and invest in the XQD. Now you can get XQD in a few different brands. Show that to you here, and I'm gonna show you that to you here. So Sony XQD, that's it there, Sony XQD. They typically come up to 256. I have not found them any bigger than that. They range anywhere from 32 gigabytes up to 256. I prefer to buy the 256 or the 240s. 240s are made by Sony. 256 are made by this other company called IND MIM. You can find this on Amazon. I typically buy the Sony ones more. Just have a bit more confidence. Now here's the thing. This particular media will record up to 440 megabits per second, which allows you to get the full brunt of the 4K 60 that this can record in. I typically record in 4K 30, but you can record in 4K 60. This media will handle that. So that's important to make sure your media can handle it. Now, if you're gonna do more, if you're gonna go the full extent of the camera and record in RAW, you're gonna need to attach a Ninja unit to this. You're gonna have to have the extension on here to make that work. I have no interest in doing that. I don't need that. But if you do have to do that, then this is not important, because at that point you're using a different type of media to record what you are filming. So this is if you're going to record internally in the camera like I do. To me, this is enough. I don't want to extend it anymore. I don't want to make it any more complicated. I just simply don't need that. So if you do need that, then look at getting the extension. Sony makes it. I want to say you can buy it new for like maybe $2,500, and you could probably get secondhand for about $1,200 or $1,500. But it will allow you to record RAW, which I have no interest in doing. Okay, so let me go ahead and stick this in here. So now, if you'll notice, it's got 2 slots for media. So I've got, if I have 2 256 cards or 2 240 gigabytes cards, I have a half a terabyte that I can record. That is a long time. That's hours and hours and hours of recording time, depending on what setting you're using. I typically use the XAVC-L. It gives me plenty of clarity, great picture, great image quality. If I wanted to, I could go the XAVC, I believe it is. It definitely takes a lot more space, so it shrinks my recording time. I typically don't use that setting, but it can be used. My clients have no complaints on the level of quality I'm using now, so I typically like to use XAVC-L. Okay. All right, so this is the Sony FX9. It's fully set up, it's ready to go. I can actually start filming right now with this camera. And actually I'm gonna be doing that in a couple of hours. Of course, I'll boot it up. Maybe I'll do another video. This is important to you. If you wanna know how I set this camera up from the menu standpoint, I can do a video for that. But I'll just go ahead and leave it at that for now. We're gonna set this up to the side. That's my Sony FX9. Now we need to set up my other camera. It's my B cam. That is the Sony A7R V. Oh, one other thing I want to mention, I forgot to mention this. Depending on your lighting situation, which I'm gonna go fully into lighting later on in this presentation. Where this. There we go. Okay. And one other thing I want to make sure of. Oh, we're good to go. Okay. All right. So this is my Sony A7R V. This is a great camera. I love it. It takes excellent pictures. So whenever you're doing video, you're also going to have some opportunities to take some pictures. You want to have great thumbnails, right? So you want to take your subject, maybe have them do a few different expressions. I know for my work, it typically is more promotional. And so my clients like the person to be smiling, happy, especially if it's for recruitment. So I'm typically going to have them smiling, but I might have them do a few different poses. And that's footage I'll have as far as a possible thumbnail that I can use whenever someone's about to look at the next video. Now, if you're using a lot of ads, which we do, the thumbnails is not as important as it is with organic content because we're inserting our content in the feed. So I'm not waiting for someone to click on a link. But I do think it's important, and I do think that there are going to be some opportunities for discovery. Let's say if you're advertising on YouTube, it's going to get that many more clicks if you have an inviting thumbnail. So with that being said, this is a great A cam and a B cam. It's also great for taking pictures, photography, very versatile. On this particular unit, I have the 28-75 Tamron. It's the f2.8. Unlike my other lens, this lens here, the more you zoom in on it, the f-stop rating goes up. And so it becomes a little bit of a slower lens as you go up to the 200 millimeters. This one will go 28-75 without increasing the f-stop rating. So it stays at 2.8, brings in a lot of light, which becomes very useful when I'm doing portraits, taking pictures, as well as having that flexibility when I'm recording video. I have had to kind of pull in and out on this. And just like most zoom lenses, it extends out, when you turn the, which is the same thing this one does. See that? Bring it over so you can see it a little better. So you can see that, okay. So yeah, so you do have that on here. Now, when I'm using this particular camera, I usually am inserting like what you see on me. I've got these wireless mics. I usually use that on here. I do use this on the tripod I just showed you. I could use it on this tripod. I do have a second one. It's this one here. I gotta tell you, I love how light this is. Now, this particular unit comes stock with this kind of top. And as I showed you earlier, I changed that top out for this F38. This F38 is more secure. I'm not as concerned about it with the A7R V because it's a much lighter camera. But I think I am going to still switch it out and make it a F38 also. Okay. If you're curious, I'm recording this on a Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. So very easy to pop on, pop off. It's got a little bit of a give on it. So that's why I think I may actually switch it to this. This has no give on it. It's very sturdy. But this still works. I've had no issues. I've used it a couple of times and I'm very pleased with it. I love the fluid head on it. I'll also use this whenever I'm doing portraits. I can do it sideways like this. You see that? So I'm able to do it regular, widescreen, or I'm able to do portrait. And I used this for my photo shoot just yesterday, actually. And I had it on here, and I was able to adjust it this way. This way, it was very flexible. It worked really, really well. So I really like this, this setup. Okay, there we go. I typically, if I'm doing my FX9 as on my main camera, I won't necessarily put another wireless on this. I'll just collect room sound, and what we'll do in post is we'll connect this camera's audio with this audio, the main audio, and then we'll just use that as a reference point back and forth whenever we're going between the angles. So that's typically how I'm going to use this camera. Okay, so we got that camera set up. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to set up our lighting, right? We need to make sure I get good light. And you're going to see a difference when I set these up. So I have this one. This is the GVM 300 watt LED. Very capable light. I can do app control, so I can control it with the app on my phone. I'll show you that. Another thing I use for lighting are these. These can go on the top of the camera. So this particular one here, this is the Amaran 25C. The Amaran 25C, it has lots of controls on the back. I can control the reason why I like the C is it allows me to adjust to the color in the room. Let me turn it on and show you. See, it's very bright. But if I want to go and change the color, I want to change maybe the warmth in the room, I can change it to really, really warm, or I can go really, really, really on the other side to the cool blue daylight version, very blue, okay? So typically I'm kind of in that 4,000 to 5,000 range. So let me do that, and I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna show you another cool little feature this thing has. Okay, so if I want to change and go different colors, I can go different colors altogether. So this has a lot of flexibility that way too. If I ever wanted to have some kind of mood light, another thing that's kind of cool about this is if I want to do certain scenes or effects. Let's say I want to do fireworks. Oops. Isn't that cool? Okay, and let's say I want to do fire. So if I want to have a fire effect, I can have that fire effect going in the background. So I love the modes in here. I haven't actually used the modes as much. I've used it more as a straight on light that goes on my camera. So let me go back out and go to my normal way that I use it, this one here. And I will set this on top of the camera here. Like so. And this can make a world of difference on top of the camera. I also use it for portraits as well. So if I want to do some portrait shots and I want to have the extra light, I may, in the moment, I may need to hold it in my hand, or I'll just set it on the camera like this. So it works out really well that way too. So that's my light setup. Okay. All right, the next thing I wanted to show you was my light setup. Once I set them up, let me set both of these up. Now, one of the things I used to do when I first started to do lighting is I would just set that light up and I would have it going straight on my subject. And they're like, oh, it's harsh. It can give people headaches. I mean, it's not pleasant. So you want to have something to soften your light. And I've used several different types of lighting, and I'm going to show you the ones that I've landed on after lots of trial and error. Okay. Okay. One of the things when you're searching for lights, you're looking at wattage, and you're looking if it's a mono or a bicolor. The reason why you want to have at least one of your units to be a bicolor is so that if you're inside, you're going to need a little more warmth to match the room. If it's outside and you need to compete against something outside, if you want to still get something on your subject because it's very bright behind them, you want to be able to adjust to that. So a mono light is going to help you adjust if you just want more daylight in the room. But if you have a bicolor, that's going to help you be a little more flexible if the dynamics of the room. Like this room here, it's got the fluorescence, and you can tell it has a little bit more of a warmth to it. So in order to offset that, or instead of trying to compete with that, I can lean in and set this setting to around 4,000 to match the room. Versus if I'm outside, that's more like over 5,000, 5,000 to 6,000. It just allows me the flexibility there, okay? Then in here. And this is kind of a cheap stand. I do have some very much more sturdy and expensive C stands at home, but they get left at home because they're just too bulky, they're too heavy, they're just not convenient to take along. So I end up taking these, and these work fine. They're more than enough for these lights. So this is my GVM. It's 300 watt, so it has plenty of firepower to it. I'm going to turn it this way. And it's app controlled. I can control this with an app. Now, I don't want to just have this straight. I have to cover it with something. So I've got a couple of choices. It's got what's called the Bowen mount on it, B-O-W-E-N, the Bowen mount. And so I can buy this Bowen mount cover. This comes with one of these, so you won't actually want to buy this. This comes on it. But if you're buying something else to go on here, just remember it's got the Bowen setup here. So you need to try and buy something that's compatible with the Bowen mount. What I can do with this, though, is since I already have this, this softens the light. This helps. Now, this is not optimal, but it helps. So if you don't have anything else, use this. But I'm going to show you a couple of other options that's going to help you even further if you have the extra budget to do it. And it's really not that expensive. So let me show it to you. Let me unhook this. It just snaps right off, okay? Next thing I'm going to show you is this softbox. You'll see different styles. You're going to see the round ones. You're going to see the square ones. You're going to see the rectangle ones. I have one of each. This is a SmallRig RA-D85. RA-D85 SmallRig. I like it. This worked out pretty well for me. So you just snap it on like so. Make sure this is, you know, good and tight because it's kind of heavy. And then you just pop this out like that. There we go. So this works really well. It really helps to soften the light. I'm going to plug it in and show you how it does. But it does a really good job. I would easily buy this again. And I'll try and leave links on all these things so you'll have access to get them directly. But just know that when you're looking for lights, you're looking for wattage, you're looking if it has the bicolor, and for me, a big hot button is app control. I want to be able to control it with an app. Okay, very bright, as you can see. Very bright. And I only have this set at, let's see, I only have it set at 64 right now. Let me switch this over. So you can make it where it goes off. And then I can slowly increase the intensity on this light. So what I'm going to do now, since I have it set up, I'm going to go ahead and set this light here, and you'll see the difference. See the difference? Now, you see how it's one side of the shot is really well lit, and the other side is not lit as much when I'm looking at this camera here. So the way I offset that is I have a second light. My second light is a Neewer. It's also a 300 watt LED light. So one of my lights is a bicolor and one's a monocolor. So this one right here is bicolor. So it'll have the warmth function, whereas the other one I just showed you does not. This is what it looks like. This is the CB300. CB300, okay? That's this one here. It's so fun we get a chance to do this today because I've been wanting to do this for a long time to show you guys what my setup is like. Just never got around to it. Okay. Here's my other setup. And I know a lot of your core photographers out there, you're going to want to have the flash, right? I get that. But for me, I prefer the continuous. It just, I guess because I came from video, I tend to like that more. But I've tried the flash. I have a flash in my bag. I never use it. I always use the continuous ones. I think it allows, for me, it allows my camera to adjust. I'm able to see more like what it's going to look when I actually do click the shutter button. Okay. Another thing I'm going to suggest when it comes to lighting is look around, feel free. I think I got this real cheap off Temu or something. It's just a inexpensive, retractable power source. That way I can plug in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plug-in items on this. Plus, it's got a spot for a USB, actually 2 USB slots, plus a 20-watt USB-C. So I would say look out for some of those just to have that on set. It's going to really help you. I have enough length on these where I probably don't need it in my case. You know what? I'm going to plug it in anyway. Having the extra flexibility does not hurt. Okay. All right. So I'm going to turn this on too. And actually, before I turn this on, let me show what I'm put on it. This is the Amaran. It's the Amaran, and this is the rectangular version. Comes like this. Go there and there. Perfect. This side as well. This is ready to go. Now, if I want to direct the light a little bit better, I can use this, and this directs the light even more. But if I'm just softening light, I typically don't even use this. Some of you guys who are more knowledgeable about lights than I am, you probably, maybe you can put in the comments the reasons why you would use that. I think I used it once on set because I needed to use it from a distance away, and I wanted to kind of really point the light towards the subject, and I did use that. But in most cases, it's close enough where I don't need that. So this is what it looks like. And this is the 60 by 90. See, it says 60 by 90. There, okay. All right. So plug this. This also has the Bowens mount to it. That's the Bowens mount. Okay, now it's secure on there. Very cool. And if I'm really trying to get a nice highlight of my subject, and we're doing an interview, Okay, very bright here. And normally, obviously, I wouldn't show the lights in the shot when I'm doing it for a client, but it at least gives you an idea of what it looks like when I'm using it. And these are app controlled too. Let me show you that. So as far as the app control, I'm going to bring one of them up on the app so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Bring this one up. Okay. So this one here, I can control the warmth as well as the brightness. So if I bring the brightness way down, you see it goes way down. I bring it way back up. And then I can also change the color. So right here, if I bring the temperature over, well, I got it on daylight. Let me get off of daylight. See how it's got the more of a tint to it there? See that warmth I added? See, very warm. See the difference? The white here versus the warm here. So I can match it to the room. Now, most cameras will tell you what the temperature of the room is. I didn't check on this one because I have it on auto white balance right now. And as I change it, it's going to adjust to the room. So that's why it's not as dramatic when I show you the differences, because the camera is actively changing as I'm changing the temperature. It's changing there. So you're not able to see the full effects as if you were in person. You can see how it's actually really changing the color of the light. I can make it extremely blue if I want. This makes it very blue. You may or may not be able to see that right off, but this gives more of a blue feel to it. See how blue that looks? Okay, so hopefully that helps. So you can see what the lighting is like. Let me put it to the back here, to the side. Let me get it out of the frame. There we go. Okay, so now it's in this here. I'll get this one out of the frame too. So if I'm doing portraits, that sort of thing, so the rest of the room is kind of dimly lit, but where I'm at, it's lit pretty well. And I could actually bring this other one up a little more. Let me go with, if I go with daylight on this. Okay, so see now I've got quite a bit of light coming on this side, more so than this side. Let me switch this other one here so you can see how I can control it. Okay, so this other one, and we go to GVM. It's connecting to it. Okay, now I'm reconnected. So this one here on the left, I can control the lighting here as well. Stay in here, point the lights more towards me. There, and here. So now I've got both the lights on me here. This left light here, see, it's got more bright now. So I've got more clarity on me. Now, you're not able to see that as much in this particular camera just because it's on my iPad. It's not a high quality camera. It's just okay. But where I'm recording it right now, you can definitely see the difference as I bring up the lighting. Now, I don't have the opportunity to add warmth to this one. I can bring up the temperature, but I can't really bring up the warmth. Or let me rephrase that. I can bring up it only has basically one temperature. which is more of the daylight. But I can bring more of it out. Let's see here. See if I can show you. Now this one here, I can control the actual temperature. And depending on if I'm doing portraits or not, I'm probably going to have the lights even closer where I can bring out that much more detail. So let me go back to the other one. There's the Neewer. That's this light here. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, the warmth. I think this is probably a little more natural looking. Okay, so that's the difference with the lights making. Now if I cut these lights off, let me cut them both off. Okay, just cut this light off. And now I'm gonna cut the other light off. That's what it is without the lighting. Now you'll see this camera will adjust to it quite a bit. It's gonna adjust where it can still be functional and it still looks good without the lighting. So you don't have to have lighting. This is a crop sensor camera. And I'm using a 2.8 lens on it. It's an 18 to 50 Sigma 2.8 lens on this one, not on this one. This is just an iPad camera. But this one right here, I'm recording, it's a higher quality camera, so it can adjust to the light. If I had a full frame, it would be even a little bit more defined at this low light. But where these cameras start to become equal is when I bring in the light situation. See, it's gonna adjust to that. See, it's gonna adjust to that lighting. And then over here, I'll bring this up. And now, you know, if I have a crop sensor, full frame, it's gonna be roughly similar in how it looks. So that's kind of how it works with the lights. If you're doing interviews, I would suggest to have lights, unless you're kind of doing like kind of a man on the street, kind of on the scene kind of thing, then maybe if that kind of vibe, you don't necessarily need a light. Perhaps what you could do is get away with having one of these small lights here, and that's all you need. But if you have a situation where it's going to be one of these sit-down interviews, high quality, you typically want to have lights. If you're going to use portraits, like with this camera here, you're going to want to have lighting as well. It's going to make your videos look much sharper, your photos look much sharper. It does add quite a bit. Okay, so that's really the conversation on lighting. I'm going to leave that there for now. And the other thing I wanted to show you is how you can set up video where your client can see the videos real time. Now there's a couple of different ways I've done this. One is by using this iPad, because I can use monitor and control, and through that app I can actually show the client what the scene looks like. Not only can I control, let's say, the record function, what I'm focusing on, the iris, the ISO, the f-stop rating, I can control a lot of those things from the app, which is great. If I'm using the Sony A7R V. On the Sony FX9, I've got limited functionality I can use on that. But what I can do with this is the Hollyland transmitter and receiver. What I can do with this is connect it with this, and this goes into another monitor. Now, what I've done at one of my clients, they have a big screen TV that's in the same room. So what I can do is I can hook up this on one end to my FX9 camera, and then on the other end, I have this plugged into the 4K TV. And so we're able to see on like a 50, 60 inch screen exactly what the image looks like. So this is very useful. I also have a small monitor that I can use, a 7-inch monitor. I can use and I can hand that to my client. But it does help. Sometimes they can give some good feedback on how they want the shot to look. Now it uses these antennas on it. It does transmit in 4K. If I'm using the small monitor I have, it's only 1080p. So even though it'll receive the signal, it won't actually show you the 4K version. So it does help to have that as a function. I did add that. I do like the fact that I purchased that. It gives a good wow factor with the client. I mentioned earlier that I have a flash that I can use. So I can attach this flash to this camera, and due to the setup and the way it is, this camera, it can connect with this particular flash. It would help if I had a battery in there. Okay. All right. Now I have to tell it I do have a flash on there. And another thing I have to do is I have to turn on the electronic shutter. One of the things I will suggest is once you get involved with a certain camera lineup, it really helps you out if you stick with that same camera lineup, because now you learned their menu system. So, you know, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes looking up how I can turn off the electronic shutter. Okay, go here, fill flash. Okay, very good. So you see, I'm able to use the flash on this with no issue. So that's the advantage of using the flash. It's just that for me, I end up not using it because I like to see what it's gonna look like before I do click that button. And so not have to kind of go trial and error after I've already taken the picture. So that's just a preference thing. So I'm gonna turn this off. And like I said, I hardly ever use this thing. I use it sometimes, but not often. Okay, let's go through other things in my bag. This is very much something that I've found is extremely useful. It's painter's tape. And so you can use this, you can get this at pretty much any like paint store or whatever. You can get off Amazon. But just having some having some tape to lay it down on the floor where they're supposed to stand. I like to draw a T so they know exactly where to put their feet. So I'll do like a T like this, and then their feet go right inside the T on either side of it. Works really, really good. Okay. You're also going to make sure that you have extra HDMI connectors. This one I picked up on Amazon. It allows you to give some flexibility in case you need more length, but at the same time it can go compact. So this is very useful. It's HDMI cables. Then I have the traditional HDMI cables. Those come in handy. I always have extra ones with me. I also have the shorter version. This is the 1 foot version here as well. Another thing that's important is, I mentioned to you earlier, I use those transmitters. Make sure you have the right batteries that fit those transmitters. I have 4 of these, and I'm able to charge with that. With the wireless microphones, if you're not going to be like putting it on your subject like I have on me, this comes in really, really handy. So this is a connector that you can use for the microphones. You just take the microphone, like I take this one here, and I just slip it in here. And then I put this here like this, and then just use it like a regular microphone. And it comes out extremely clear. I mean, it sounds so good. I love it. It sounds just as good as, to me, it sounds as good as a podcast microphone. Whenever they're holding it against their, not against their mouth, but roughly like this. If it's pretty close, maybe like about 1.5 inches or so away from their mouth. Slightly downward. You don't want them to cover the mouth. It's too high. This is too low. So you just train your subject to have it around here, and it comes out really, really good. So just kind of direct them, hey, try and keep it around 1 inch or so away from your mouth, but don't have it cover your mouth. Have it like down here where you can still see the mouth in the frame, because that way it gets distracting if it's covering the mouth like this. It doesn't look good. All right, so keep that in mind. Make sure you have a way of whatever batteries you're using, make sure you have a way of charging those batteries while you're on set. I typically like to have all of mine charged before I go out on set, but just in case I need the extra firepower, I do bring that. With both these models, there's a way I can control these models and power these models without batteries, and I bring that as an option with me as well. So just in case, it's just always good to have a backup. You don't want to be on set, you definitely don't want to be on set waiting to charge batteries. Okay, so make sure you have a way of operating either of these cameras without batteries. I've done that with both these cameras. I have them right in my bag. I can grab them if I need them. I do not need to have battery power, and I have extra batteries set up on these. So I would definitely suggest that as well when you're on set. One of the things I did promise you I was going to show you is my shoulder rig setup. Okay, so let me bring this back out to the front. As you can see, this is very solid. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. Close this up, I don't need that. And I've done this, and so have some of my staff. Whenever I have one of my camera operators with me, there's been a lot of times they've used it without the viewfinder on it. They just use the actual monitor itself, and it works out extremely well. Let me show you how I use to pull this off of here. I would just usually just take this. There's a button here we press. We press that button in, we move it, and it pops right off. Then this is the shoulder rig. So I just take this, put it on top of the shoulder rig, I slide it in, like that, okay? So now it's ready to go. Well, one piece of the puzzle. I need to take this and plug this in. It's extremely important to do this. Because this has functionality that is invaluable when it's on your shoulder. And I typically like to bring this down a little bit, like that. There we go. And this rotates, so I can rotate it back and forward. So do what's comfortable for you. So it's on my shoulder like this, and this stabilizes it. And I can control pretty much everything. I can control my menus and everything from here. So I can move through the menus. It's got a button here. I'll show you in just a second, but it's very functional. And so I'm going to either have the full viewfinder right here, or I'll just use it just like this. I can still see what's going on. And what's cool about having the viewfinder off is if I want to tap to focus on a certain part of the scene, I can. Now the Sony FX9 has a face prioritization feature. So it's going to look for faces and it's going to look for eyes. And so it'll zero in on that person. I can also register a face as well. So when it sees that face again, it goes back and focuses on it, even though it was out of the scene for a moment. So it has that feature. And so I may not have to use it very often, but it does come in handy if I want to focus on something, especially if it isn't the person. Maybe I want to focus on an item they're showing or something else in the scene. It allows me to do that, and I'm able to control that through here. There's a button here I can control, and then I can move. There's a button I can move with my thumb. I can move around and focus on the different subjects. So if I have 2 or 3 faces in the shot, I can cycle through which ones I want to focus on in the moment without having to fumble with any menus. I can just have this here, and I can do everything with my fingers. So that's why you're going to see professionals on set I shouldn't say on set, out in the field, they're typically going to want a camera like this because I have so many controls that are at my fingertips, literally at my fingertips, no pun intended. I have all those controls there versus me having to cycle through menus. Cycle through menus is okay, but when you're on the set and you're trying to move fast, it helps to have this kind of capability. Okay, so this is the full setup here of my Sony FX9. The only part that you don't see is the viewfinder, which I sometimes use. Just depends on the situation. All right. So I think I've covered just about everything in my bag. I have two of these headphones, one for each camera. It does help for me to hear that, so I do have that available. Oh, this is invaluable. These are very cheap. Make sure you have one. It helps to blow the dust out of the lens. You never want to touch your lens, so just have this to kind of help blow the dust out. And with that being said, I also have wipes. I have a couple of different options on wipes. I'll show you. So I bought some of these microfiber wipes. These work pretty good. And I also bought these Zeiss lens wipes. Zeiss lens wipes. These work really well. There's just one-time use. So once I open each package, I think I got like 80 packages. Once you open it, you can't use it again. It's going to dry out, but it's perfect. It works great for the lenses. I highly recommend this. I will buy this again. The microfibers are invaluable to have as well to wipe certain little things off if you can't get it off with the blower. Okay. Oh, something else. This is also very important. Sometimes it's just the little things, guys. It's just the little things that make a difference. So this particular thing, this is so handy. Okay, so I bought this from SmallRig. This has a lot of different connectors on it. Hopefully you can see that. It has these different connectors. And so if I need a screwdriver, if I need one of these hex screws, if I need any of these, it's so handy to have this in my bag. And then this one here is another one that's very similar. It just has a few more choices and sizes when it comes to the hex side. So I'll have this as well. So look at having a tool set, just a small little tool set, so that when you're on set, you know, because typically your client, at most, they're going to maybe have the flathead screwdriver. They're not going to have all these other options. So you're going to want to have this with you in case you need to tighten something up or loosen it. It's good to have that as an option, okay? All right. I think that's it. If you own a Sony camera, make sure that you download the Monitor and Control app. That's going to give you a ton of flexibility. If you have usually like a Sony, let's see, Sony FX3, FX30, FX6, FX9, they all are going to work with the Monitor and Control app. The Sony A7R V, A7R IV. I'm not sure if the Sony A7R III or A7 III, but definitely a great app to use. A Creator app is also good to use if your camera is compatible with it. With the Creator app, it's going to allow you, as you're taking pictures, for example, to upload those to the cloud and or easily transfer it to your phone and therefore share it with your client, because with your client, they love to be able to use these things right away. And so this is going to give you that flexibility to do that. Okay, again, ask any questions in the chat. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. I know this video was long, but if this is something you're interested in, I just would have loved to have had that where I could actually look at somebody's setup and get some ideas on how I could set up my camera equipment. But through trial and error, I was able to get there. I do watch quite a few different creators on YouTube. They help me greatly. And so thank you for all of you creators that have made that content where I could pick which cameras I bought, right? So thank you for that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you the next time.